One belt after another is raced through. 250 shots, 1,000 shots, 3,000 shots. The gun barrels changed. 5,000 shots. The barrels scorching hot and the coolant boiling. The gunner's hands are nearly scorched and scalded. "Carry on shooting," urges the gun commander, "or be shot yourself." Coolant in the gun jacket boils, vaporized by the furious shooting. A tall jet of steam sprays upwards, a fine target for the enemy. The enemy is getting closer. We keep up at our continuous fire. The steam dies away, again the barrel needs changing. Coolant's nearly all vaporized. Still, the English attack. Even though they already lie shot down in their hundreds in front of our lines, fresh waves continue to pour over from their jump-off positions. We have to shoot. A gunner grabs the water can, jumps down into the shell hole, and relieves himself. A second then also pisses into the water can, and it's quickly filled. The English are already in hand grenade range. Hand grenades and rifle grenades explode violently in front of the gun. The steam hoses of most guns are torn off or shot away. The skin of the gun commanders hangs in shreds from their fingers. Their hands are scalded. The left thumb's reduced to a swollen, shapeless piece of meat from continually pressing the safety latch. The hands grip the lightweight, thin gun handles as if locked in a seizure. 18,000 shots. There is an old Latin proverb, ora et labora. In German it means pray and work. Curse and work was our trench motto in the positions in the front. This motto was a reference to the endless digging, to the drawing of wire entanglements, and to the never-ending construction of dugouts. One swore, one grumbled, one groaned, at the nightly hauling of the rolls of barbed wire, the barricades, the wooden frames, and all the other treasured things in the life of an infantryman. Our divisional commander, our beloved Little Excellency, he is of small stature, often made daily inspections, coming in all weathers and at the worst times. Usually unaccompanied, wearing a shabby wind cheater, he went along the trenches, climbed down into the dugouts, clambered over the spoil, squeezed at night through the lanes of barbed wire, was here, was there, was everywhere. He had a particular liking for his machine gunners, and it always gave us special pleasure when we were allowed to show and demonstrate our spick-and-span weapon to him. Major General von Boris never made a big deal of himself, or of the performance of his division, just as his favorite regiment, 169, never made a fuss of itself and its successes. So it was, on that gentle hill of Serre, an ingeniously organized infantry fortress came into being. Our grumblings fall silent as the enemy calmly finds its range, as we realize that it starts soon. On the 24th of June, hell broke in upon us. The unimaginable fury of an uninterrupted, week-long drumfire by all calibers over the infantry trenches and over the artillery emplacements. Over more than a 50-kilometer breadth, the gentle hills of the Somme and of the Ancre River sink behind the brown curtain of millions of shell bursts. Those of us whose dugouts had not been crushed, crouched below on the alert, took breaths whether of smoke, dust, or shell bursts, gasping and with difficulty, believed by the third day that the unrelenting booming, rolling, cracking, and bursting on top of the shaking and trembling of the earth would drive us mad. On the 6th and 7th days, the fury seemed to increase. The dugout entrances were mostly blocked, leaving where it was going well space to crawl through. The nerves of the occupiers were dulled, a suppressed rage lay in the tortured minds and souls of the defenders. One thought dominating all: when will they finally come? After a terrible night, after the inferno of dawn, they're coming! Finally, relief that the enemy turns to the attack. The sun shines brightly. It is the 1st of July, 1916. In the splendor of this summer's day, the English columns advance to the attack. They have the certainty that their week-long drumfire, precisely calculated to the square meter, has destroyed every atom of life in our position. The enemy's artillery fire suddenly transfers to our rear positions, onto the grounds of Serre village, onto the approaching roads and the villages beyond. 250 to 400 meters away from our destroyed trenches, they advance to the attack. They advance in columns, in thick, packed lines of attack, behind which are drawn up support troops, Indian lancers ready to turn the English breakthrough on the wing of our attack into a devastating defeat of our center. The English infantry have their rifles at their necks, hanging from their shoulders, ready for the stroll to the Rhine. The idea that there could still be life or any resistance in us after this week seems absurd to them. But now men crawl out, half crushed through dugouts. Now men squeeze through shot-through tunnels, through buried dugout entrances, through broken, shattered, timbered frames. Now they rise up between the dead and dying and call and cry out, "Get out! Get out! It's the attack!" The sentries who had to remain outside through the drumfire rise out of the shell holes. Dust and dirt lie a centimeter thick on their faces and uniforms. Their cry of warning rings piercingly in the narrow gaps that form the dugout entrance. "Get out! Get out! They're coming!" Now men rush to the surface and throw themselves into shell holes and craters. Now they fling themselves in readiness at the crater's rim. Now they rush forward under cover from the former second and third lines and place themselves in the first line of defense. Hand grenades are being hauled by the box from shell hole to shell hole. There's a choking in every throat, a pressure which is released in a wild yell, and the battle cry, "They're coming! They're coming!" Finally, the battle. The nightmare of this week-long drum fire is about to end. Finally, we can free ourselves from this week-long inner torment. No longer must we crouch in a flattened dugout like a mouse in a trap. No longer must we calm, hold down, tie down those men who almost lose their minds through this pounding, booming, and splintering, through difficulty in breathing, and through the jerking and swaying of the dugout walls, and whom with overtly trembling limbs want to get up away from this hole and this mousetrap, up into the open air, into a landscape of raging flames and iron, a landscape of insanity and of death. We call for a barrage. Red flares climb high, then fade away as they fall to the ground. Destructive fire and barrage fire leaves masses of green and red marks in the sky. Dear God, the German barrage fire! Behind us, the guns lie destroyed in their emplacements, their wheels upwards, their barrels in the dirt. An enormous crater, left by the impact of the English heavy shells, yawns at the side of the gun emplacements. Most of the crews are dead, lying buried in tunnels and bunkers. On the wagon tracks that led to the gun batteries lie shot-up ammunition wagons, shattered gun limbers, spilled cartridges and shells, dead drivers, and the carcasses of horses torn apart by direct and near hits. Our barrage is pitifully weak. There is no artillery in reserve. So it was that on the 1st of July 1916, almost everything depended on us, the infantry. A gunner is shot in the head and falls over the belt that he feeds in. The belt's displaced, taking the cartridges at an angle into the feeder where it becomes stuck. Another gunner takes over. The dead man's laid to one side. The gun layer takes out the feeder, removes the cartridges, and reloads. Shooting, nothing but shooting. Barrel changing, hauling ammunition, and laying out the dead and wounded in the bottom of the trench. Such is the harsh and furious pace of the morning of the 1st of July, 1916. The harsh, clear rapport of the machine guns is heard on every division front. England's youth, Scotland's best regiments, bled to death in front of Serre. Our machine gun right by the road, commanded by the brave Corporal Ka, shoots through the last belt. It's driven 20,000 shots into the English. After the initial confusion and panic caused by our unexpected resistance, after the horrific loss of life in our closely packed attack formations, the English reform. For 2 hours and more, wave upon wave breaks against us. With incredible tenacity, they run towards our trenches. In an exemplary show of courage and self-sacrifice, they climb from the safety of their jumping-off position, only to be felled, barely having reached our shot-up barbed wire. 30 meters in front of our guns, the brave ones fall, the first and the last attack waves together. Those following behind take cover behind their dead, groaning, and moaning comrades. Many hang, mortally wounded, whimpering in the remains of the barbed wire and upon the hidden iron stakes. The survivors occupy the slight slope, around and behind the remains of the barbed wire, and shoot at us like things possessed, without much to aim at. They make cover for themselves from the bodies of their dead comrades, and many of us fall in the fire. We shoot into the wire shreds, and the hail of bullets breaks up at the wire and strikes downwards. Soon, the enemy fire dies out here as well. Fresh waves appear over there, half emerge from cover, then sink again behind the parapets. Officers jump onto the thrown-up earth and try to encourage their men by their example. Flat helmets emerge in numbers once more, only to disappear again immediately. The hail of bullets from our infantry and machine guns sprays over their defenses. The English officers no longer leave the trench. The sight of the field of attack takes the breath away from the attacker. The attack is dead. Our losses are very heavy. The enemy's losses are inconceivable. In front of our division sector, the English lie in rows by company and by battalion, mowed down and swept away. The no man's land is one great scene of misery. The battle falls silent. It seems to have frozen through so much misery and misfortune. Medical orderlies hurry into the battlefield. An English medical team appears from somewhere with many stretchers and unfolded Red Cross flags, a rare and shattering sight in trench warfare. Where to start? Whimpering confronts them in almost every square meter. Our own medical orderlies, those who can be spared, join forces on the battlefield and place the enemy just as carefully into the hands of his people. Meanwhile, the English support troops fared badly. Closely packed, caught between their jumping-off positions and advanced units of all kinds, they were unable to move forwards, backwards, or sideways once the catastrophe began. Machine guns mounted on sleds, elevated from the front line, with sights set at 500 to 700, shot an accurate line of fire into the English support troops. The deliberate, destructive fire of the few German guns had a devastating effect on their ranks. At the adjacent regiment on our left, the enemy succeeds in breaking through to the third line. Our flank is threatened. The slight dashing Lieutenant Hupp throws the English out from the breach with a single infantry platoon from the 3rd Battalion in dazzling close combat. The English reserves pushing from behind that tried to penetrate the gap are caught in the flanking fire of one of our machine guns that sees the opportunity and makes a positional change uphill, the Death Reaper. Here too the English soldiers fall to the ground in rows. Evening is drawing in. In front of the sector of the 52nd Infantry Division, the enemy's attack is defeated. Some kilometers further left, the enemy succeeds in breaking through the less consolidated position to a depth of 1 to 2 kilometers. The French succeed in breaking through at Péronne to a depth of 3 to 4 kilometers. Local successes, which they were able to extend to some 2 to 4 kilometers in a 6-month-long struggle. This loss of material, this sacrifice of life for that. The English-French dream of a bright and cheerful war of movement, March to the Rhine, is over by the evening of the 1st of July. What happened on the part of the Allied military command over the course of the further 6 months of the Battle of Somme is the cruelest and the most incompetent bungling ever indulged in by an army command. The bases which dominated the open country remain in our hands. The 8th Baden Infantry-Regiment 169 has the fame to be one of the few regiments which did not allow the English to gain a foothold in their sector on the 1st of July, 1916.